Welcome today to the All Things Health and Wealth show by Kiara Ducasse, and we are here to guide you on everything relating to health and wealth and how you can keep yourself in a state of abundance through consistent and simple keys and habits that will transform your life. Today we have a phenomenal guest on the show, Martin, who's often described as a visionary, and it would be easy to think that this was his superpower. But his vision is born a true superpower, and that is staying connected. The man who keeps himself constantly updated on the latest business thinking, global trends, and things that he takes hold of, enabling his company MindWorks to take the lead for clients interested in staying in the forefront of industry trends and their business evolution. Martin's knowledge of technology and application to business is prodigious. He has a deep understanding of the fourth industrial revolution and its implications, and he is one of the early champions of the transformative power of digitalization. Those who work with Martin also know him as a strategic thinker who can see beyond the obvious to find solutions that make sense in context not just of business imperatives but of human capital too. This comes from his belief in holistic health, making him as interested in mental health as his physical fitness. He keeps himself fit enough to compete notoriously in the difficult Cape Epic cycle race and water skiing behind his boat over the weekends. He is a highly sociable cook and foodie who makes time for his family, community, and never-ending pile of business books and biographies at his bedside. Involved in every aspect of MindWorks, from marketing, finance, analytics, IT, the MindWorks Academy, and recruitment, he also applies his intellect on the ongoing development of the business. A qualified chartered accountant, Martin is a member of the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, and he is the co-owner of Dry Dock, Parker's specialist curator of wines and other liqueurs. With all that being said, I come to the most important question of the day. Martin Pina, how are you doing today? Martin, are you there?
I'm battling with this connection. I don't know if I should just try off a different device, perhaps.
Sure, you're welcome. You're welcome to jump
You're
back
breaking
on.
up just a little bit. Let me just try this off my telephone, not using the net.
Sure.
So I'm a little bit shocked that it's giving me the problems that it is. Let me just try this thing. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Yes.
Okay, let's just give it a try then.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, fantastic. So I come to the most important question of today, and that is, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing really well, thank you. Great that it's spring. The buds around my office at home. It feels like the long, hard winter is behind us now.
Oh, fantastic. I'm really happy to hear that. And you're looking wonderful. You're looking healthy as ever. And really, thank you very much for joining us on our talk show today. All Things Health and Wealth. We really appreciate it. And yeah, shall we get started with a couple of questions on the interview? Are you happy to go ahead?
Yeah, let's hit it.
Fantastic. Okay. First of all, you can answer any questions as short and sweet as you love. Just do what you need to do. First question is, what kind of person do you describe yourself to be?
Perfect. And then if we have any connection issues, I'll just ask you to repeat the question if I don't hear it.
Sure. Fantastic.
Perfect.
Okay, so what kind of person would you describe yourself to be?
I think I like to have a lot of balls in the air, so I like the variety of doing different things. So as you could deduct that you at the beginning of the talk, you know, I've got a liquor store, I own a recruitment business, I've got an academy that trains digital skills, and then lots and lots of other interests from a personal perspective. So I guess I like to be busy, I like to be active, and I love helping people.
Fantastic. Okay, so try to describe yourself in only 3 words for me, please.
self-motivated, care, fun.
Fantastic. Thank you. What would you consider your 3 strengths and weaknesses to be, and how do you handle your weaknesses?
So did you ask me to quote 3 strengths and weaknesses?
Yes.
So I think on the strength side, I spoke about self-motivation. I think that's really important. You've got to be able to pull yourself up when things go wrong. You've got to be able to be positive about situations, and then stick with problems until they're solved. So you need tenacity. And then I just think going about life with a positive attitude just gets you further down the road. I guess weaknesses would be I have a tendency to procrastinate, so I've got to check myself on that. I'm an ADD person, so it's a well-known tendency. I become autocratic rather than democratic. So I could, if the going gets tough, I tend to dictate how things should be rather than being collaborative. That's I guess something that needs a bit of work. How I deal with these things, I think, is just being conscious. If you realize what you're doing, if you can kind of take a helicopter view of your life, and you can see what you're doing wrong, then you're in a position to improve things. You can make things better, and then being open to criticism, I think, is really important. Nobody's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. But if you don't allow self-criticism, if you don't do self-criticism, if you don't look internally, and if you don't allow other people to criticize you, you're not going to grow. You're not going to learn from your experiences. So I think you've got to be open-minded. You've got to be open to criticism if you want to grow.
Fantastic. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this audio would really appreciate that kind of feedback. What would your 3 health tips for the day be? Fantastic. All right. Sorry about that. It's a crazy way to start the interview, but nonetheless, technical issues are always there, right?
They happen, yeah. If Bill Gates has technical issues, then why should we be exempt?
Exactly. All of us have technical issues that we got to deal with. I suppose that's life, right? Okay, so
does feel better to me, sir.
So my last question to you was, what are your 3 top health tips for the day?
I think the first thing is you've got to move. You can't sit still and expect to be healthy. So, I'm probably on the other side of that scale. I probably exercise a little bit to excess. So I do, some ultra cycling races. I've got the Otter Trail run coming up in a couple of weeks. And so that requires lots of training. So I train, I guess, most days, almost every day. So I think that's key. You've got to move. You've got to, and not everybody has the capability of doing half a marathon or a marathon or riding 100 Ks on a bike. But everybody can walk a couple of blocks, walk up a few flights of stairs, do a few sit-ups or push-ups. So there's no excuse not to move. It doesn't matter what your body shape is. Doesn't matter what you're suffering from. You can do something. I was struck down with COVID a couple of months ago, and I walked every day in the Delta, in Delta Park. So I think that's step number 1. Step 2 is you can't put rubbish in your body and expect your body to keep performing. So you've got to be healthy. You've got to drink lots of water. You've got to eat healthy foods. You've got to, I sound like a Discovery Vitality ad here. You've got to eat your greens. You've got to eat your fruit and vegetables, lots and lots of portions of those. Lots, and I guess everything in moderation. And then thirdly, I think you can't be too stressed. I think stress wrecks your health. So you've got to find ways to manage your stress. You've got to find outlets to get stress out of your life. But if you manage your stress well, if you eat well, and if you move a lot, I reckon those are 3 keys to being healthy.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. And with your healthy eating program, what does the typical day in your eating program kind of look like?
So I don't think you want to go too long without fueling the fire, as it is. So I don't eat first thing in the morning. I often go and train before I eat, unless I'm doing more than 2 hours of exercise, in which case I will have something beforehand. And then I'll come back and have breakfast, and that could be cereal with some protein powder on top. It could be, toast with peanut butter or hummus. Could be a shake, a protein shake. But I have a breakfast, and then by 10 o'clock, I'm hungry again, and I'll have either a portion of fruit, a protein bar, something. Lunch could be a pie, or it could be a salad, and then something again in the afternoon, and then dinner. Normally, I don't like to eat too late at night, so if work pressure allows for it, I'll try to eat by 7 o'clock, 7:30 latest.
Okay, fantastic. Do you find eating a little too late maybe makes you a little lethargic the next day?
Yeah, I don't think one should go to bed on a full stomach. So best to try to do that a little bit earlier. Get the food out the way in a couple of hours. Definitely. Between food and bed. Yeah,
definitely. So actually, one of my questions coming up is how do you manage the stress? So while we're on that topic, we may as well just kind of cover that. You said through exercise and healthy eating. How do you personally manage your stress, especially during high stress times?
Well, I mean, we've spoken a lot about exercise, and I do feel like exercising takes away stress. It's meditation in a form, is it not? Because if you're riding on a bumpy track, or down a gnarly forest track on your mountain bike, you can't be thinking about problems at work. So you've got to be in that zone, otherwise you're going to crash your bicycle. So I find when I run, I listen to music. When I'm cycling, I'm concentrating on traffic or focusing on the trails. So I think exercise does reduce stress. I meditate. I try to meditate every day for 20 minutes in the morning. I think clearing your head, even for a short period every day, is essential. And then no matter how busy things get or how hectic life gets, I try to cook every day. I find cooking really therapeutic, and in some sense it's project management, because you've got to keep stuff's happening in different places at different times. You can't be burning the almonds that you're toasting while you've got onions cooking on a different plate. So you've got to keep the stuff together. So you can't be distracted by work calls or meetings coming through on your phone. I can't multitask like that. So if I'm cooking, I'm focused, and I find that very relaxing. So I think those would probably be my big stress relief. Being in a healthy, happy relationship, surrounding yourself with positive people. I think all of these things contribute to getting rid of stress. Having someone whose shoulder you can cry on when things do get tough.
Fantastic.
Having that connection with people around you, I think does reduce stress too.
Sure. That's really very, very beautiful to hear. And I definitely agree with you on having key relationships and managing those key relationships. It almost is like project management with managing your stress in correlation with everything else that happens in your life. Because at the end of the day, like you said, we've got to keep directly focused, right? So it makes us realize that staying focused on and being in the now in whatever it is that we're doing makes it less stressful through the time. Okay.
If you're in a meeting and you're on your phone texting people, and then you kind of lose track of where you are in the meeting, and then then you try and fire off an email, I don't think that's good for your brain, and I don't think it's good for your stress levels. Just focusing on one thing at a time definitely reduces stress.
Sure, thank you for that. I think a lot of people going through stress during these stressful times. Since lockdown has happened, I believe there's a lot more stress in homes. People are trying to make ends meet, and they need to know how to manage that. So I believe a lot of our audience will truly love what you've said here and take it to heart, because that's the feeling we want to give, is knowing the substance, the real deep substance of what actually drives us as humans, but what also gives us the ability to find that time to take peace and relaxation time to yourself, especially giving that is a gift to yourself, right?
For someone like myself, I think that time alone is important, because I don't, I've got a family, I've got, 2 jobs, I've got, all my sporting activities. I tend to be with people all the time. I give a lot of myself to people. So for me, it's really important to get time alone, because I think that's when you recharge. A lot of the people in our business that lived alone during particularly that hard lockdown, in April last year, actually took strain. So for some people, it's about making time to be alone. But for others, it's about getting away from being alone and having that connection to other people. So I think that balance, different people will have to look for that balance in different ways.
In themselves, right? A balance between their. Everybody has introvert and extrovert within them. It's of course finding that balance for whatever is suitable to self, right?
Yeah, and then the circumstances. So if you're staying in a community during a hard lockdown, you tend to be better off. If you're alone, you need to reach out to people.
Okay, fantastic. So let's get on to some more of your kind of questions about what would the top 3 books that you would recommend to a newbie entrepreneur?
There was those, what is the Patrick Lencioni? He's got a series of books that I found really useful and that really anecdotal info around, how to run a small business, but using stories and fables to get those. So I like Patrick Lencioni as an author. I'm reading Ray Dalio at the moment, Principles. It's not everyone's cup of tea, and I battled through pieces of it. But I'm getting some really important principles that are giving me great information at the moment. Trying to think what else. Let's stick with those 2 for now.
Fantastic. That's perfect. What would your daily key motivator be? What motivates you every single day? What wakes you up and gets you out of bed to do what you do?
I think for me, there are a lot of people who are dependent on the work that I do. We employ 25 people in Mindworks, 60 contractors, a whole lot more learners on learnerships. I've got the team at Dry Dock. So I feel that I have a responsibility to those people in my world to show up and to do well and to break through barriers and things that go wrong and help to find solutions to those. So I think that gives me a sense of purpose, and then clearly I'm here for my family. So whether that be is producing the evening meal or just looking out for them when they're stressed, or just being a good partner or a good dad, a good son, a good brother. I think just feeling a responsibility towards your family, I think is just gets you out of bed every morning and gets you excited about life.
That really does. That really is one of the most beautiful key motivators. I can relate to that in every way. Family and people that you work with, the relationships that you build, are the very reason that most entrepreneurs do wake up and do what they do, right?
And when you're looking out for others, your own stresses and pains and things tend to be minimized. I remember reading a story once in the book of one of the Dalai Lama books that I read, where he was curled up in the back of a car on the way to go and make a speech somewhere. And he had stomach pain that was so bad, he was kind of literally in a fetal position, holding onto his stomach, and wasn't even sure how he was going to make the speech that he was traveling to go and give. And at some point in time, he sat up in the back of the car and he saw a disheveled guy next to the road that was really down and out and unhealthy, and clothes were torn, and he was clearly impoverished. And he says, just having empathy for that person and focusing on that person for a short period of time. He didn't stop the car, but his mind went to that disheveled guy. And it was only a couple of kilometers later when he realized that his pain had gone down quite significantly. It just wasn't at the level that it was at a few kilometers before. So that for me has always been a motivator since I read that story, because I thought the more you focus on other people and helping others and showing up for others, the less likely your own issues are going to percolate within you.
And I really like that a lot. And it gives us a sense of humility towards others in this world, and how others are going through a different kind of suffering, and it almost makes our suffering seem devoid or somewhat non-existent.
it comes down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the other story that I love was one that I picked up when I was at Singularity University in San Francisco, where the worst pain apparently on Earth is a burn. The worst pain one could experience is being the victim of burning.
Okay.
And the most powerful painkiller on Earth, morphine, in the case of a very severe burn, could only bring the pain down from like a 10 to an 8.
Oh, sure.
And yet when they put virtual reality glasses onto a burn victim and showed images of them rolling around in snow, like the cool environment, that could bring the pain down from a 10 to a 6. And that for me just showed how powerful the mind is, and how if you focus on the right things, if you can actually change like pain, physical pain in your body, a burn, a wound. So think of the power of that for maybe a cancer sufferer, or somebody that's broken a limb, or there's ways of altering the mind that can actually work more powerfully than a drug like morphine.
Sure, that is very powerful to hear you say something like that. And my next question, I love how this conversation is flowing. My next question is how do you take care of your mental health? You said you meditate every day, but how do you actively take care of your mental health through these times?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that you need to have a goal that you're focused on, that you're pushing towards, because things get bad. I think you made a point earlier about people being financially impoverished. I don't think there's much that could stress you out more than not being able to afford to pay your bills, or being worried that you might not be able to stay, have the roof over your head, or feed your family, or pay your medical aid or bills. Or so I think just pushing towards a goal and is key. Collaborating with others, I think is so important for mental health. And then also choosing who you collaborate with. Who are you engaging with? If you're spending all of your time with people that have negative energy, it's going to drain you. You need to be around positive people that have can inspire you. I think that's key for mental health. Reaching out, and then we spoke about time alone for mental health. I think if all of your time is taken up by other people and tasks, and if you're not getting into nature, if you're not meditating, and meditation, as I said, could be cooking, it could be doing sports, or it could be actually practicing transcendental meditation as an example. But I think just clearing your mind of the things that are stressing you out, reaching out and connecting, I think these will assist me with keeping my mental health.
Okay, fantastic.
I mean, it's such an important topic, because I think that not everybody sees mental health as important a factor as physical health. You've heard of the manager or the aging parent who that doesn't think depression is an important thing to focus on, or don't worry, you'll get over it, like as long as you've got your physical health. And I think maybe one of the good things about the pandemic, although it may have created a whole lot of mental health issues that we'll deal with for years to come, is that it's put a big focus on mental health. So at Mindworks, for example, we reached out to people that were living alone, people that weren't coming to the office anymore, that were now remote, on a regular basis. We started having more regular team meetings. We used Zoom or Google Meet as a tool for getting together, but we got together more.
Okay.
When people didn't show up to those issues, we reached out to them. We sent care packs. We engaged in different ways. So I think there's a great focus now on mental health, and I think it's early stage, but I think we're on the right track. We're all putting more effort into making sure that we're not just healthy physically, but also mentally.
That's fantastic.
Emotionally.
With coming into an age where technology, and as you kindly said, the fourth industrial revolution, technically, we're at a time, obviously, where technology is really helping us substantially, but of course is also causing alternative stresses that perhaps come up in the moment, and also distractions. Through mental well-being, do you feel that what we're being exposed to on a daily basis through all of these technological platforms are really helping us, or are they creating some sort of negative environment for us?
I think it can be both. As I said, we've got examples of where, as an organization, we would only get together, once, twice, maybe 3 times a year as the entire team.
Okay.
And now every single Friday, we have a half an hour team session. And that could be a formal feedback on, how the company finances are doing, or, what the pipeline of work looks like. But quite often it's a fun quiz with prizes attached to it. It's a Pilates lesson. There's ways of doing so that there is a connection between people. So I think a lot of my colleagues that work in the financial services environment were in the physical space with back-to-back meetings all day long, big meetings, 20 to 15 people in them. A lot of those organizations have replicated that physical environment in the space we find ourselves in now, where people are working remotely and meeting on Zoom. And there aren't gaps between meetings, and they're not, they're working, until 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night in those meetings. And I don't think that's productive. I think this pandemic has given us the opportunity to rethink work. One of the positives I see is when I go for a run at 4 o'clock in the afternoon now in the Delta Park next to my house, I see, rows and rows of cars parked there. I see people walking dogs. I see people with their children walking, going for a run, or horse riding, or mountain biking. And so I think some people, the smart people, have taken that commute time and use that to spend more time with their families, to stay active, to have balance in their lives. So that encourages me. I think we've got to use the fact that we're not traveling to meetings to keep the gaps that we would have used for traveling, to catch up on things, to grab a bite to eat, to meditate, to read, something maybe not work related. And I think that balance will actually allow the technology that we're using to have a positive impact on our lives rather than a negative impact.
Sure, that's really profound.
So Zoom doesn't have to, Zoom meetings don't have to be a bad thing. It can be a great thing.
Of course. I mean, look at this wonderful Zoom interview with one another. I mean, this information that you're sharing with here, this is the kind of information that people need to hear, and especially newbie up-and-coming entrepreneurs are really facing of course, extreme challenges starting a business. Sometimes entrepreneurs have no clue where to start a business. And at the end of the day, there's obviously the two between the health and the wealth side of things. Obviously, building a business is, of course, for customers, but it's also for profit at the end of the day. And looking after your health is so important to achieve those goals for yourself towards your health and wellness goals, that it's almost a cyclical and important relationship between the two. And I'd actually like to hear what your relatability to health and wealth are from your perspective.
So, I don't think that you can do well in business if you're not healthy. So having healthy relationships, keeping your body healthy, having a good network of support that you can reach out to. I think these are key. So if you come to work stressed, you're not going to be a great leader. You're not going to, your mind's not going to be clear to be able to work through problems. You're going to destroy relationships rather than build them with suppliers, with staff, with customers. So I think you've got to come in healthy. You've got to come in with the right mindset. And then run your business in a way that it doesn't stress you out. One of my colleagues from our financial services day went to go and run his own business after leaving the bank, and he always said to me, "Martin, we only do business with people we like." And I thought that was really important, because if your business relationships are stressing you out and creating havoc for you, and it could lead to depression, it could lead to not wanting to get out of bed in the morning and go and face the day. So I think partnering with people that you like. Another friend ran a big insurance company, and he said he didn't want to employ anybody onto his senior team that he couldn't go out and enjoy a dinner with or go away for a weekend with. Sure. So if you don't like the people you work with, it's not going to be fun to come to work. It's not going to be engaging. You're going to try and get that piece of your life over with so you can go and do fun stuff or go and be with people that you like. So why not make the whole day with people whose company you choose to keep, or you do have fun with, or you'd want to spend time with after work, if the situation allowed for it.
Fantastic. Keeping it worthwhile and keeping your network very close and intimate, especially like you said earlier on, with people who have positivity, clarity, and focus on their dreams and their goals and their journey. 100%. So if you were put in a position where you lost everything and you had absolutely nothing, how would you start again from zero?
I guess I think I'm probably too old and have been in my own businesses for too long now to go back into a corporate, other than perhaps on a consulting basis. So I would want to start something again from scratch. And I think all businesses start with an idea. You need to have an idea, and that idea doesn't have to be unique, because you could do that thing better than other people or in a different way to other people. So I think my daughter wanted to start a little business when she was growing up, and then when she went to go and do her research, she found that business existed. And I said, well, that's not the end of the world. I'm in a recruitment business. There are dozens of recruitment businesses, maybe hundreds, thousands. You can still excel by having a value proposition that your customers are attracted to, by attracting better people into your business, by managing your business better than your competitors. So, some businesses that have been started that don't have competition have actually battled because customers don't know what to compare them to. So that's taken longer to get those businesses off the ground than businesses where there is competition. So you've got to start with an idea, and then you've got to make sure that there is a market for the idea that you envisaging. You're going to need capital. So I've seen some restaurants that have been decimated over this COVID experience with the shutdowns, and then not being able to sell liquor, and then having restricted hours, curfews, and those. How do you restart that restaurant again? Where does your capital come from? So you've got to manage that working capital really tight. I think one of the nice things about Dry Dock, because it's such a small business, that's our little liquor business. Because it's such a small business, we have to manage stock so carefully. We can't just go and buy, every item of stock that pleases us. If we can't turn that stock in a reasonable period of time, we're going to run out of capital. We're going to run out of space. So, managing your capital well, providing a really, really valuable customer service, following through on commitments, and then having a business that's, I guess, differentiated from your competition, even if you do have competition.
Okay, fantastic. And Dry Dock, as you said, is that exact perfect example. So with managing your stock to your capital, let's just say in an instance with a newbie entrepreneur, they have no job, they've got no family, and they want to start a business. What would you recommend to that individual on getting started?
I mean, you've got to leverage your network. You've got to find somebody in your world who's prepared to back you, who's prepared to put some capital into your business for a return. And you're going to have to make that return attractive to particularly the first investor. Once you've got an investor and you can get your idea off the ground, once you go from a sort of a PowerPoint presentation into something that's actually real and working and up and running, it's a lot easier to approach, let's say, a bank to get finance, or to get a government loan or a grant to start the business up. And there are lots of different channels available to get funding that you could apply for as an entrepreneur. So I guess it's about initially finding someone that's prepared to back you, and then looking to more commercial funding once you're up and running.
Fantastic. So Would I be right in saying so? At the end of the day, there are absolutely no excuses in starting a business. The money is in absolute abundance. There is so much of it. It's just about finding the right network and leveraging.
Getting access to it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
If you haven't managed your money well, personally and in businesses that we run, that's going to make getting that funding more tricky. Okay. So if you've got a bad credit record, for example, that could make, even getting a job could be tricky with a poor credit record. So I definitely advise any person or entrepreneur to really be careful about how they manage their money. When you get your first paycheck or when you build your first customer, that's not the time to go and buy a new car. You got to live within your means, and things can turn around suddenly. I saw so many successful businesses that were decimated by the COVID pandemic. We didn't see that thing coming, and when it came, we didn't think it was going to last 2 years. In one form or another. So I think that's been a good lesson to many entrepreneurs to manage their finances much more tightly than they would have previously, because we just don't know what's out there. If you just look at climate change and how weather patterns that might have occurred once in 40 years previously are now occurring once every 10 years, who knows if it's not going to be once every 4 years. That could be devastating for your business. I think New York City, right, as we speak, is in an emergency situation because of excess rain from a tropical storm.
Okay.
Weather could change your business. You've seen the wildfires running through Europe, Australia, California. That's going to cause businesses to shut down, create wobbles for businesses, just as we've experienced shutdowns because of COVID. So I think the world is becoming more uncertain, and as a result, you've got to be really careful about how you manage your finances.
That's a really great and fundamental aspect, is to manage personal and business finances. I believe with us, it's been our biggest lesson that we have been experiencing this past year is to manage the finances to the T, dot the T's and cross the I's and all of the rest of that.
Collect those debts really quickly. Focus. Don't leave money on the table. As debtors, rather have it in the bank. Don't spend money you don't need to spend. Reuse, collaborate with others. I think one of the nice things now is I think office space is going to become a much smaller expense for many organizations.
Sure.
People are working from their homes. People are, getting together in coffee shops for meetings, and so that need for I've always thought it was a waste of time and space to have a home with an office in it that stands empty all day, and then an office which stands empty all night. So merging those two, even for some days a week or for some hours a day, just allows you to have less office space and use your home more productively.
I love that. Definitely, I love that. I think that is something, especially during these times, people need to hear, typically because, of course, some are still working in office environments and some are doing their best to work from their own home environments. And if we're in a home environment, it's different to being around other people, obviously, because being in an office environment, you're motivated by your colleagues and by what you do at work. Whereas at home, it's easy to go and take a dive into the fridge or put on the TV or, get distracted by life and life's happenings, right?
Yeah.
So what are the top 3 mistakes that you would avoid at all costs in business?
So I think definitely going into partnerships, relationships with people who aren't aligned to your values is really important. I think you don't want to take on too much debt. I think businesses that are successful thrive with the addition of debt, but I think you've got to be careful in managing that. And then I think the world is changing. It's digitizing. It's intermediaries are being disintermediated. I think you've got to be aware and abreast of changes that are happening in your industry. If you're still running a video store now, are you going to be successful going forward? If you had a store that was fixing fax machines, that's out of business. So what are the trends that are affecting businesses? I think it's a mistake to stand still. You've got to be constantly aware of how technology is changing your business and how your customer preferences are changing over time, and then adapt to those changes.
Okay, sure. What would be your top tip for managing your finance and cash flow?
I think you got to you got to run your working capital really well. You've got to manage, stock, debtors, cash flow really, really well. If you can get a customer to pay you up front, even if you have to take a discount to get that, get the cash into the bank. I think, that bird in the hand rather than having two in the bush analogy, I think is really important here. So cash flow, cash flow, cash flow.
Fantastic. Okay. So you've already answered my question about how health plays such an important role in your business and why. I want to ask you, go a little bit back to your the statement about health and wealth and the direct correlation between health and wealth, and how our up-and-coming entrepreneurs need to know the direct mechanisms in ensuring that they're at constant and peak performance all day, every day, because at the end of the day, entrepreneurs need that when they're running businesses. Business is not an easy journey, right? So,
I think it's all about energy. You've got to manage your energy. So what's draining your energy and what energizes you? And make sure that you've got those in balance, and make sure that you've always got enough energy to run your life and to run your business. And then happiness. I think you've got to be happy. So for me, there's happiness about three things: someone to love, something to do, and something to look forward to. So if you've got love in your life, if you've got the people around you that you love and that love you, if you're busy at work, if you've engaged in something that brings you joy and that energizes rather than drains you, and that there's always something on the horizon, whether that be a holiday, a bicycle race, a payout from a dividend of an investment, or a policy that you've taken out, that's something to look forward to. Is just so key, because that gives you hope. So that even if times are tough now, there's something on the horizon that keeps your head down and keeps you motivated.
So even though you're on the path or the journey to your dreams or your goals, it's important to have that balance in life, right?
Correct. Balance is key. Otherwise, that energy is going to get out of balance, and then it's going to be very hard to get it back again.
Okay, fantastic. So we're finishing off the interview now, Martin. So I just have two last quick questions for you. Could you leave 3 critical health and wellness tips for our audience? And then after that, anything else, any other last words that you'd like to share with our audience, please?
So I mean, my family give me such a hard time because I eat a bag or 2 of carrots every week. I'm worse than a rabbit in that respect. But it does come back down to making healthy choices. So if 80% of your diet is healthy food, I think anything extreme is problematic. But if you could, eat healthy, be gentle on the earth, be sustainable in what you eat, I think that's a great starting point. I mean, I drink 2-3 liters of water every day. I think flush toxins out of your system. I think that's so important. And I think more and more we have to look at what we eat. I don't know if eating cows is sustainable for this earth. If we could migrate onto healthier products than a methane producing deforesting cow, I think that's going to make a positive impact. Be gentle with the earth. It needs to be around for a long time, and we're not being gentle with it.
Fantastic.
So those would be my 3 health tips.
Okay. Kind of like eating hemp or hemp food or hemp seeds or superfoods, getting that really strong nutrition.
Chia seeds, hemp, yeah.
Where we definitely don't need to be eating those wonderful creatures that are really performing other tasks on this earth other than as a meal. So, okay. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much, Martin, for joining us on All Things Health and Wealth today. We truly appreciate your energy, your love, your kindness, and your willingness to share this valuable and important information with the world, especially up-and-coming and young entrepreneurs that are really needing to know and understand the ins and outs of health and allowing for preparation and patience, most importantly, to build that ultimate health and wealth, because it doesn't just happen overnight. There are no shortcuts in life to your dreams. There's only discipline and dedication. So thank you again, Martin, and we definitely hope to see you again in the future. And let us know let our audience know where they can contact you if they'd like to be in touch with you for your services. And thank you very much. Yeah, let me know. So
great. It was really, really great spending this time with you. And I look forward to seeing the edited version of this when you pop it up.
Definitely. Thank you. Really appreciate it, Martin. Have a blessed.
Thanks for this time.
And you too. Thank you too for your time. Have a good, strong end.
Right back at you. Cheers, Kiara.
Blessings. Bye-bye. Take care. Take care.
You too.
So to our audience, please like, subscribe, and share if you love this content. And it always helps for you to comment and knock up our algorithms if you like this content. Keep sharing, keep following, and share this with your family and friends, and especially to anybody who you believe will need this kind of information relating to health and wealth. For more information, see below in the details and let us know with a thumbs up you enjoyed the show. Love and light and peace to you all, you blessed souls.